Yo guys, what is going on? Blossom's back and welcome back to another episode of Top Drives and another episode of what can you get from that pack. Now today's pack, can we all hold hands and just agree on the term that we're going to use today? Today's pack, we're going to call it the Bentley Final Pack, okay? I don't want to address it by its full name because it is the 2001 to 2004 Performance Tire Front Wheel Drive / Rear Wheel Drive Carbon Fiber. I don't want to say that every time I want to address the pack. Let's just talk about the Bentley Finals pack. It is the Bentley Finals. And if you want to, be more specific, it's the Bentley EXP GT Finals pack. But we'll just call it the Bentley Finals pack. We get it, okay? So welcome back to another episode of What Can You Get From the Pack. It's been a while since I recorded a video of this series because I wasn't really competing in the last couple of finals. So today, obviously, this pack is being given out because, well, it's obvious in the name for the Bentley Finals. These are all the cars that are eligible for the Bentley Finals. So I'm going to say this one more time. All these cars are in between 2001 and 2004. They're all performance tires and they're either front wheel drive or rear wheel drive, and you can get them from a carbon fiber. But anyway, you guys know how this video works. First of all, I'm going to judge everything in a general sense. So take the final and put it in a box. We're going to be judging this pack if you wanted to open it just for opening's sake. Not because you want to get the prize car, just because you might think to yourself, oh, this might be a pretty good carbon fiber. Should I open it? Should I not? I'm going to review all the cars in here. And then the second part of the video, I'm going to show you the best cars that you can use for the actual Bentley Final. So if you want to just see what cars are best to use for the Bentley Final, I'll put a timestamp somewhere in the comments or something. But anyway, let's get into it. Here are my ranks. My number one, bro, you're respectable. I see you. Nah, man, you kind of sus though. And of course, the mainstay, hot garbage. Anyway, let's begin. We start with the Acura NSX, and I'm gonna put that in bruh, you are respectable. It has a low 0 to 60, a very high top speed. I mean, relatively high, I would say. 175 is high, over 170, and it handles really, really well. The MRA on the Acura NSX, or the blue NSX, it's also, average, I would say, 74.88, and it weighs 1,410 kg. So a very average MRA, a very average weight. Very good handling, though, for an American car at that. Definitely a respectable car to have. Now the next one is going to be the Alfa Romeo Auto Delta. That's going to be my number one, okay? It has an MRI of 89.57. This is your go-to dragster front wheel drive car and is a cash cow in clubs. You cannot play clubs and not have that. You need to have this. So this is a really, really good car to have. 5.30 to 60, 82 handling, and it also weighs the same as the NSX, coming in at 1,410 kilograms. But really the main thing about the Alfa Romeo is the high top speed. 175, same as the NSX, and of course the 89 MRA along with that front wheel drive niche, because in all seriousness, the 0 to 60, especially for an RQ64 for the Auto Delta, is pretty weak, but when it comes to that front wheel drive meta, that's kind of like the best one you got. Anyway, next up is the Aston Martin DB7 GT. That one's kind of sus, bro. Not a very good car. It has 71 MRA. Yeah, I get it. Low 0 to 60, high top speed, but if you don't have the MRA to back it up, what can I say? You're not that useful. It doesn't even have the lowest 0 to 60 in the game. So even if it doesn't have MRA, the 0 to 60 can't carry it a quarter mile because it's still going to lose to the Charger 3 and the Miura. So really, it's a pretty sus car. Pretty expensive car to use as well. 59 RQ. Shalish. Alright, next up. Well, 59 it says on Top Drives Club, but obviously the picture says 58. But I think 59 is the new RQ. That means it got an RQ buff from the last update, which makes no sense because that car is very good. Now, the next one I want to talk about is also another Aston Martin, and unfortunately, it is also pretty sus. Most of these ultra rare Aston Martins, they're kind of, they're kind of like Bentleys when you think about them. They're all very heavy. This one comes in at 1,740 kgs, 72 MRA. I mean, there's not much to be impressed about. High top speed, relatively low 0 to 60, but once again, no MRA to back it up. So like I said, they're kind of like Bentleys. They're heavy, their MRA isn't very good. Handling's a little better than the Bentleys in some cases, but honestly, 79 still isn't good. So unfortunately, pretty sus. Now, the DB9, a bit of an outlier here. I'll put it in ICU, just because it has slightly better handling, right? But also slightly better MRA. So the handling is above 80, which is nice, and the MRA is, dead center 80. And when you compare it to the DB7 Zagato, which is 72, or the DB7 GT, which was 71, 80 isn't looking that bad now, is it? Anyway, it's a pretty decent ultra rare, all things considered. Not fantastic, not bad. You don't really need it in your garage, to be honest. Moving on is the Aston Martin DB-AR1. Now, once again, also kind of sus. Honestly, I'm starting to think that maybe these Astons should go under hot garbage. I am genuinely thinking that. The DB-AR1 isn't going to go hot garbage regardless because it has a convertible niche, so there is something different about that one. But these two DB7s, I don't know, man. I might move them down. Aston Martin V12 Vanquish, though, this one is respectable because it has, a very, very high top speed, 196 top speed, and a low 0 to 60 as well, 4.40 to 60. So the lowest of the bunch that we've seen so far. Handling's pretty decent as well. Not that it matters because you want to 332 this to really, hone in on that 0 to 60, 0 to 60 and top speed. The MRA on the V12 Vanquish, though, isn't much to be shocked about. It's a 75.73, which isn't very good, honestly. It's slightly higher than the DB7s, but it's lower than the DB9. But it is still a testable car because it's one of the few cars that actually hits 200 miles per hour. If I remember correctly, if not, it hits 199 if you max out. I think it's 200 miles per hour. Let me check because I actually have it. So if I go into Ultra and I check in my garage over here, it's 63. It used to be 64. Can you believe it? It went down. 205. Yeah, I have my 332. 205. 3.5 to 60, 87 handling. Sorry, it's a bit of an all-rounder, really, but it's actually quite good. You can get value out of it. Because also it's from the 2000s. But yeah, moving on is the BMW 645 Ci. Not a lot of good things to say about this. According to Top Drives Club, this BMW has an MRI of 83, so I guess that's its strongest suit. But it doesn't handle, and the 0 to 60 is very weak as well. I mean, when you put it into comparison, it has less handling than the Aston Martin. So although it has more MRA, it has a way lower 0 to 60. I mean, it's 5.4 to 4.5. You swip that thing around, I get it. It's 58 RQ and 52. You know what? I'm moving the two DB7s down. They're not even sus, bro. They're just hot garbage. Moving on is the BMW 12 H2R is what it is. 65 MRA, so not very good as well. I have to say, one thing about this pack, a lot of filler, okay? High top speed, but no MRA to boot, but it is a convertible. It does have, 80 handling, so it is capable of hitting 89. It's pretty sus. Not a horrible car, but definitely not good. Moving on, this one we don't talk about. One of the most useless ultra rares in the entire game. Moving on, Chrysler Crossfire SRT. Now the Chrysler Crossfire has 68 MRA. Handling isn't very good. 0 to 60 is also not very good, but it is a very low RQ. When you compare it to the BMW, at least there's a 0.3, 0 to 60 difference for the same RQ here, and it handles a little better, and it is a little lighter as well. This comes in at 1,469. The BMW is 1,690 kgs. But at the end of the day, the Chrysler Crossfire is still hot garbage. Moving on is the Neon. Now the Dodge Neon coming in at 68 MRA, decent handling, and this one is indeed medium ground clearance. It's also a relatively light car coming at 1,307 kgs. I'll put it in sus though, because at the end of the day, if you want a medium ground clearance front wheel drive car for the city streets, you want something that handles a little better. I can't believe I'm saying this, but you want something French. You probably want a Megane. So unfortunately, the Neon, I can't give you much over there. This Neon though, the SRT4, is actually slightly better because for 2 RQ more, you're getting a car with 0.3 0 to 60 less and one more handling, which is actually not that bad. And I think that's an outdated picture, right? Because I think it is a little better. No, it's not. It's not an outdated picture. Never mind. It used up less handling than what it does now, which is crazy. But yeah, 69 MRA. It's a relatively light car again. Just a slightly better version of the Neon SRT4, and I think it's actually worth the bargain. The upgrade in stats justifies the 2 RQ upgrade as well. So the Neon, the Dodge Neon SRT4, yeah, it's all right. Oh, the yellow one at least. They're both the same name. Jaguar XJR is hot garbage. We don't need to talk about that. The sleeper tag on it. No, don't believe the sleeper tag. It's trash. The Jaguar XKRR, as I see you. I have to be honest, it's one of the weakest RQ64s in the game. That being said, though, it still has a low 0 to 60, and the MRA is decent. It's 80 MRA. Pretty heavy, though, 1,717 kilograms. Handling is also kind of mediocre. 83 for an RQ64 isn't very good, especially when there's cars like the Acura NSX, which has 3 handling more for 1 RQ less, and handling is almost everything if you're not a dragster, and this car definitely isn't a dragster. I get it. It's a low 0 to 60, a high top speed, 80 MRA, which is, not bad. But it's still not really a dragster now, is it? Because the Roof BTR and TVR Tamora, the Tamora you can even get from this pack, are just way better cars. Moving on is the Lotus 135. Yeah, that's my number one. That's Blossom Choice right there. One of the best RQ50s in the game. Incredibly lightweight, 756 kgs, 85 handling, convertible, low 0 to 60 for RQ50. Maserati Coupe Grand Sport. You know what? I've grown to like and appreciate this. Maserati doesn't have a good reputation in top drives, or even in real life, to be honest. But the Maserati Coupe Grand Sport actually is a really respectable hybrid. A bit of an all-rounder, which actually hits some points because the handling is just good enough. When you think about it, same handling as the Jaguar. The Jaguar is 64 RQ. Right, 0 to 60 is also relatively low. Top speed is high. To be fair, no MRA, 65, but it's a huge bargain. The Maserati is a bargain. The Jaguar isn't, especially when you think about it. You know, the difference in RQ is what, 6 RQ points, and the handling is exactly the same. I mean, honestly, Maserati is actually a pretty good car for your bargain. Next one is going to be the weakest RX-7s out of the RX-7 collection. That being said, though, the RX-7s are still pretty decent because they handle incredibly well. I'm going to put in ICU. Mercedes AMG S55 as well, ICU. Honestly, it's not a very good car because, you know, it doesn't handle. The top speed isn't very high as well, but the 0 to 60 is low, and the MRA is 89, and it has saloon, and it is medium. So there is some niche over there. You're not going to be using it a lot, but when you need to use it, it's going to be pivotal. I think there was one event recently, I forgot what event it was. I think it was like last week, where the AMG S55 was like one of the best cars to use. And like if you had it 332, you were guaranteed like a ceramic pack, like top 10 finish. And I had it, so you know it comes in handy when you need it. But the times where it comes in handy isn't very, you know, common. Moving on is the Mercedes AMG SLK32. Now the SLK32 has 82 MRA, but it doesn't handle. It has a convertible niche, but it doesn't handle. For its RQ, I'm putting it in hot garbage, which I know is a little bit, you know, it's a little, what was the word? Hypocritic, because these two cars are literally only here because they're convertibles. Well, actually, no, the H2R has a high top speed and handles pretty well, but the DBAR1 is literally there just because it's a convertible. But when you think about it, DBAR1, higher top speed, lower 0 to 60, much cheaper to use. Yeah, you know what? It's justified in my opinion. Pontiac Fiber, hot garbage. Porsche 911 Carrera, bro, you're respectable. To be fair, one of those cars that you don't use very often, but it is a hybrid, and it kind of is a jack of all trades kind of car. 77 MRA, and it handles pretty well. One of the best handling German cars, actually. Not a lot of German cars actually have 85 handling or more. That's ultra rare, you know? So, you know, it's up there. Last but not least, TVR Tamora, my number one. This is like one of the ultimate dragsters. 85 MRA, super low top speed. Don't care about the handling because it's a dragster. High top speed. Sorry, I said super low 0 to 60, high top speed. Convertible, 2000s. Also a very, very light car, coming in at 1,060 kgs stock. So you max the thing out 332, it'll be under 1,000 kgs. Oh yeah, and the last ultra rare is the Vauxhall VX220, and I'm gonna put that in ICU. Not a horrible car. I mean, it has no MRA, only 60 MRA, but the handling is really good, and the 0 to 60 is low, and it is a very light car. Now let's move on to epics. So Epic's Hayabusa needs no introduction. That is my number one. I'll even give it the number one spot. The Suzuki GSX 4x4, I would put it in a brilliant respectable because, you know, it has the concept tag. It is convertible. It is very, very light, and it handles very well. Honestly, it's just a slightly worse version of the Hayabusa. That's exactly what the Suzuki is. It's a slightly worse version of another Suzuki. Acura HSC, I'm going to put it in my number one. You're getting a lot of value out of RQ71. You get good MRA, 83 handling, a lightweight car coming at 1,150 kgs, and handles really well, and has a high top speed. It's a bit of an all-rounder, but it hits the mark because it has 99 handling. So the Acura HSC is my number one in my opinion. Now the Aston Martin V12 Vanquish S, this is hot garbage. Don't even think about it. You know, you can just ask Leo about. Honestly, I don't know why the Vanquish S is not an ultra rare. Okay, it's not like it has good MRA. It has a high top speed. The handling sucks. Very heavy, 74 MRA. I mean, just put it in ultra. Just give it ultra, bro. Like this used to be 64, right? The V12 Vanquish. They moved it down to 63, so this should be moved down to 64. I don't get it. M3 CSL is a respectable. Hopefully it never gets nerfed because it is right now medium and capable of hitting 97 handling. And for 66 IQ, that is a bargain. That's why it's respectable. BMW M5. Now let me check Top Drives Club if it still has MRA. It does, yeah. 89 MRA. But that's where the good news ends because the top speed is low. You know, the handling isn't very good. It's actually more expensive than the CSL for 7 handling less. It's pretty sus. Moving on is the Cadillac CTS-V. The Cadillac CTS-V is hot garbage. Moving on is the Chevrolet Corvette Z06. The Chevrolet Corvette Z06, I'm going to put it as a brilliant respectable. It's actually one of the best RQ68s in the game. 78 MRA. 86 handling, 4.30 to 60, and a decent top speed to cap it off. It's actually a pretty good car for its RQ. The Dodge Viper SRT10, I'm going to put this in ICU just because it's actually pretty expensive. 74 RQ is relatively high, and the stats don't really justify it. 86 handling is about as average as it gets. 4 seconds 0 to 60, and it's a high top speed, and the MRA is very good. It is 89. But when you think about it, we also have the Spiker. So we'll just talk about the Spiker right now, which is also a convertible, which also has a high top speed, which is only 1 RQ more, and it has, what is 103 minus 89? Like 14 more MRA, and it's lighter. I get it. It has no handling, but it doesn't really matter, because if you want to be a dragster, just focus on what makes a good dragster a good dragster. So the SRT-10 is a bit of an all-rounder, which slightly misses the mark. Honestly, if you just gave it a little bit more handling, if it was like 87, then I would give it, bro, you're respectable. Here's the problem. 86 handling, you 233 that, it'll be 95 handling. 87 handling, you 233 that, you're gonna get 97 handling. So you cannot get 96 handling if you 233 an 86 handling car, which is a shame. So unfortunately, I see you. The donk is not, man, you are sus, because, well, what's the weight on the donk? Yeah, it's very light, 630, 84 handling, you know, decent MRA for a donk 76. It's not the worst 66 RQ, I'll tell you that much. I'll put it in, nah, man, you sus. Lotus is spree, the outshooter stats right there. 84 MRA as well, doesn't justify it, absolute garbage. The Mercedes AMG C55, E55, sorry, 91 MRA, okay? Medium ground clearance, 4.50 to 60, but no top speed, 79 handling. I'm gonna put it in nah, man, you sus, because 91 MRA is very respectable, but you know, the rest of the stats are not respectable, so it's not getting the respectable rank. Mercedes-Benz SLR McLaren, let's talk about it. 3.60 to 60, 87 handling, 1,628 kgs, and has 88 MRA. Bit of an all-rounder, honestly, and I would give it, bro, you're respectable, you know. And like I said, 87 handling, that's a good one. You 233 that, you get 97 handling out of that. Peugeot 407 Silhouette. Now the Peugeots, gotta say, man, they're freaking good. Very, very lightweight car, 950 kgs. Good MRA as well, coming in at 80. For, you know what it is, a twisty car, 80 MRA is actually pretty good. 87 handling once again, 4.00 to 60, and it is 1 RQ less than the Viper. And the thing is, you know, the Viper, I don't know what to say about it. It's not really a twisty car, because, you know, if you want a twisty car, Silhouette's better. But it's not really a drag car, because if you want a drag car, the Spiker's better. That's why I'm putting the Viper as low as it is. Peugeot 907. I just said that Peugeots were good, but this one's actually kind of hot garbage. Not gonna lie, it's not, man, you're kind of sus. You know what? It has a very low 0 to 60, and it has good handling. It's pretty cheap to use. I'll put it in ICU. I think not, man, you sus is pretty harsh. What is sus, though, is the Carrera. 4.5, 0 to 60, 86 handling. The only reason that's keeping it from hot garbage is because 86 handling for RQ65, that's okay. That's alright. Porsche 911 GT2 is a respectable car. Good MRA, or I would say decent MRA, 84 MRA, 87 handling, 3.90 to 60, and a high top speed. Same thing with the 911 GT3 RS. It's a slightly worse version of the GT2, but it really doesn't matter. It handles a little better even, and it's a lot cheaper to use, so it really doesn't matter. MRA on the GT3 is also pretty good. I mean, it's 83.69, so it's respectable for sure. Spiker Ciet La Violet. I think that this one's hot garbage. Let me check the MRA. I mean, the MRA is actually very good. 95 MRA, 4.50 to 60. I'll put it in, nah, man, you sus, because you are getting about the same RQ as the Aston Martin. Although it has a higher 0 to 60, the MRA difference is night and day. This is going to be the better car to use. The Aston Martin is just hot garbage. The TVR is also hot garbage. Moving on, the Ariel Atom 2 Supercharged. Honestly, I cannot give it my number one. It might be very useful for the final, but it's actually a pretty crappy legendary. It still loses to Epics, man. It loses to the Hayabusa. You need to max the Ariel Atom 2 to beat the Hayabusa in the final. Just say it on the car park. So Ariel Atom 2, I feel like I'm a bit generous putting it in, bro, you're respectable, but I'm going to put it there. Next up is the Koenigsegg CC8S. Once again, one of the worst Koenigsegg's you can get, honestly. 86 MRA, 3.32 to 60, 88 handling. Very lightweight car, but I have to say, out of, you know, its family, you know, the Koenigsegg family, that thing's a piece of crap. Next one is the Koenigsegg CCR. Once again, not very good. It used to have 100 plus MRA, but now it's only 82. It's a bit of a whimper, very sad. Handling is okay, 89 if you max out is 99. I mean, for 87 RQ, the handling is actually pretty bad. There are a lot of legendaries at 87 RQ that can hit 100 handling. And so what are you going to say? This is a top speed car? I mean, yeah, I guess it's a testable car. That's exactly what it is. Only a testable car. Not really a drag car either, because 82 MRA isn't that scary, honestly. The 0 to 60 is, although low, the MRA isn't there to back it up. So it is a bit of a testable car, and it is relatively light. I mean, it's actually very light, under 1,200 kgs to be fair. But handling just isn't good enough for 87. It's respectable, but it's not my number one. And last but not least is the Pagani Zonda. Now, the Pagani Zonda, I'm gonna put it in my number one, yeah, because it has 107 MRA and it has the same handling as the Koenigsegg CC8S. When you think about it, this and the Koenigsegg CC8S have the same RQ, and one has much better MRA. I mean, it's like 20 MRA difference, okay? The CC8S is 86. The Pagani is 107 for the same RQ, and they have the same handling. I get it. There is a 0.3, 0 to 60 difference, but it's a 20 MRA difference. So I'm gonna put it in my number one. And also, for some reason, I feel like the Pagani is on the S7.3. We kind of need it all the time. We needed it for the Peugeot FAP as well. So yeah, there you go. Anyway, next tier list I want to talk about is going to be the Bentley final tier list. This is going to be very, very quick because it's very self-explanatory. Prize car winning, possibly prize car winning, not good enough on their own, and Dreamland. So basically, you got any of these cars for the final? Yeah, I'm sorry, you're not winning the Bentley. No way. And then the second one is not good enough on their own. So maybe you can have like one in your hand, but if you have two or more of any of these cars in your final hand, yeah, I'm sorry, Chief. You're not winning the Bentley either. Possibly a prize car winning. No, these cars are pretty decent. You can get some value out of them, Everything here is pretty average. Some of them very good that I ranked earlier as well. HSC is a great twisty car. Suzuki is a good twisty car. The Viper is a decent all-rounder. Not good, but decent. But the best possible hand is indeed this. I know I just battered these three legendaries. How ironic, isn't it? I gave the Pagani Zonda S prize the highest tier on the other tier list, and the other three legendaries had the second highest tier, but they kind of swapped around. And the Pagani, you know what? Yeah, that makes more sense. I think that's a better hand, to be fair. So yeah, Pagani Zonda, CCR, Aerial Atsunsu, the Spiker, and the Hayabusa. I think that is the best hand that you got. If you have 5 of those unique cars, you've definitely won the Bentley, so congratulations. I only have 2 of them. I have the Hayabusa and the CCR, but I do have a couple cars over here. I have 2 of the GT2s, and I have the Dodge, so I'm probably going to be using that. But anyway, let me know if you agree or disagree. Basically, if you have any cars in the first 2 ranks, the Bentley is pretty much yours. If you have any cars, if the majority of your hand are made out of cars in the bottom 2 ranks, no chance. So now that I've given my review from the final perspective and a general perspective, let me answer the question. Is this pack worth it or not? My verdict, should you open it? No. Am I going to open it? No. It's a pretty horrendous pack. I mean, look at all the hot garbage that you can get. Almost everything in here is actually trash. There's a lot of crappy epics, a lot of crappy ultras, and honestly, you're better off opening something else. But anyway, hope you guys have a great day. I'm going to stay safe, wash your hands, and blossom out. Peace.